The Scripps Howard Foundation honors excellence in television cable in depth for national and international coverage. The winner, Dan Edge with PBS Frontline WGBH for Outbreak. Frontline traced the spread of Ebola from its possible origin, a hollow tree filled with bats in West Africa. Children from the nearby village captured, killed, and ate the bats. That's where the first sicknesses and deaths were reported in Guinea.
By March, the virus had traveled hundreds of miles and killed more than 50 people.
Outbreak followed the fear and confusion that spread as quickly as the virus from village to village. In the early onset, the World Health Organization left the response to the hands of local officials who had no experience with Ebola. Cultural traditions of how to care for the dead made matters worse.
The corpse of an Ebola victim is highly infectious. But in West Africa, it's customary for villagers to spend hours washing and preparing the body for the funeral.
One funeral for a traditional healer in a village was especially catastrophic. It set off a chain reaction of infections that would lead to thousands of deaths. Health and government officials admitted in hindsight they mishandled the crisis.
We did not have full awareness of how quickly this disease could spread, how deadly this disease was.
From political posturing to slow response from the World Health Organization, the story made it clear that 10,000 people didn't have to die. For this Frontline story, key government and public health officials spoke publicly, and some for the first time. They admitted the mistakes that were made and the lessons learned. The biggest one, Ebola was not an exception. Ebola was a precedent. An outbreak like this will happen again.
The photography was stunning. It was more like watching a Hollywood feature film. The emotions of hearing from mothers who were losing their children.
The winner of the category this year was, to me, a significant level above the other pieces in the category. It was an easy choice for me as a judge for the win.
And presenting the Scripps Howard Award for television or cable in-depth national or international coverage and a $10,000 check to Dan Edge of PBS Frontline is Foundation trustee Jack Howard Potter, grandson of Jack R. Howard.
Thank you. This is a great honor. When we set out to make this film, we really wanted to try and cut through the fear, the hysteria, the misinformation around reporting about Ebola at the time. And when we first arrived in West Africa, we were sort of horrified to realize that reporting, that misinformation, that fear was actually severely hampering the international response to the outbreak. It was, in fact, it was causing people to die, and it made us acutely aware of our responsibility as journalists to report soberly, carefully, and accurately. And also, when we were standing in that village that featured in the video there, the village in Meliande where the outbreak began, we had a kind of journalistic vertigo, if you like, that this small place was where something so huge could start. And again, it made us very aware of how connected we all are now. Everyone in the world, whether we like it or not, we're all so connected. And what happens to a small boy, a 2-year-old boy in a village in the middle of the jungle in Guinea actually can affect us all. And it's important, both as human beings and as reporters, that we acknowledge that, act on it, and report on it. So I'd like to thank my very, very brave team, especially Sasha Akili, who lived out in West Africa for half a year on this film, and also the Scripps Howard Award for this Foundation for this award, and a very great evening. As you can imagine, making a film about Ebola doesn't make you very popular back home, and it had a very detrimental effect on our social lives. No one really wants to hear your war stories when you've come back from the Ebola zone. So thank you very much for this lovely evening, opportunity to hang out with such wonderful journalists and people. Thank you very much.